All right, everyone. There was an unfortunate incident the other day in Izmir, actually, in Turkey. This is on the Aegean coast, actually. It's a port involving several U.S. service members. A couple of Marines were attacked by a youth movement. There's a group in Turkey dedicated towards trying to get rid of U.S. influence within the region. I suppose that they support the Eastern Bloc. They would rather be enslaved by China or something like that than be enslaved by the United States. Sort of a football team mentality. It's not really a nationalistic movement at all when you really think about it. But they attacked several U.S. Marines. They got one dude, there was a crowd of people holding him down. They put like a bag over his head and several naval members had to come and rescue him. I was thinking to myself, it's not the greatest idea in the world. You're in a NATO country, number one, so diplomatically it's not a good idea to permit this kind of behavior. And the Turkish government, to its credit, did come out and say this is unacceptable. Not our policy. This is a dissident movement. We hate them too. So, I mean, that was a good thing. It's not a good idea to attack a U.S. Marine, though, generally speaking. Have you seen the food that these people have to eat? Like, my dad's a Vietnam vet. He was a sergeant in Vietnam. And I've had a Vietnam-era MRE. Like, you know, well, they don't call it an MRE back then. They called it a C-Rat. And, oh boy. Even when that was freshly minted, other than the coffee, which was admittedly exceptionally good, and I think they discontinued that particular instant blend, and I don't understand why. Military rations at this point make no sense. I could pontificate on that subject for a fucking hour. But I imagine that the pork and beans, probably even before it was bloated up and fucked up, probably was not that good. It's like pork with lima beans or something like that. Yeah. You know, attack a dude that eats crayons for a living. That makes a whole lot of sense. Have you seen Marine training? I'm just saying, you know, going through boot camp might be a little bit difficult for the average person. It's like when I was younger, I had, you know, you graduate from high school and military recruiters will try to call you up. The only thing that I considered was the Coast Guard. And the only reason that I didn't go into the Coast Guard, and I am a good swimmer, and it would be kind of a cool job, was because there are only a handful of people that are stationed up here, like for Lake Champlain, running the border up here. Otherwise, you'd have to go like to the Caribbean or something like that, you know, stopping narcos and stuff. While that would be fun, and in retrospect, I probably should have joined the fucking Coast Guard, or possibly the Navy. Just saying, you know, at the end of the day, I had other things that I had to do. But, no, attacking U.S. service members is generally a bad idea. If these guys had fought back and not said, well, you know, just this is a riot, basically, and just waited for their buddies to come and extract them, things could have gotten very, very deadly very quickly. You're talking about people that are trained to kill. That's the only purpose. Maybe if they were like U.S. Air Force or something, okay, you're trained to fly a plane, or maybe maintain it or something. Marines are just trained to kill people. The fact that they didn't flip out and start punching the crowd out is actually, it's very, very good for the Turkish people, probably for diplomatic relations. I was looking at this video, and the dude was almost smiling at one point. It's like, he's like, oh, I'm getting jostled, you know. This is way better than boot camp. Fuck, it just beat me up. It's better than the food that I have to eat. It's probably about their thinking. They're like, well, you know, I don't really want to kill 4 or 5 people, so I'll just go along with it. This is an unfortunate event. Again, I would point out, though, that the Turkish government did respond appropriately and said, look, you know, we're sorry that this happened. This is not an official, like, this is not part of our mainline politics. We want the U.S. stationed here, which makes sense, since you're a NATO partner. I mean, you're literally a member of NATO, so, you know, obviously there's going to be bases and shit there. I think that there was another incident a few years ago, though, where the Turkish military actually, I think, like, was there a defective unit or something like that trashed a U.S. Air Force base? Something like that happened. I can't remember exactly what the circumstances were, but they occupied it and weird shit like that. Turkey can be a little bit of a fence-straddling country. So you're in NATO, and you have fired on Russian fighters. God, by the way, before they took down a Russian MiG that was going over their territory, actually, at one point. This was during the height of the Syrian crisis there. But at the same time, then Erdogan and his cohorts will kind of softball the Russians. They will block off the Bosphorus to them, but then they try to do diplomacy. Actually, it's a linchpin of diplomacy when you think about it. Turkey's an interesting country, Egypt too, because Turkey controls the Bosphorus and Egypt controls the Suez Canal. Huge amounts of trade. So nobody really wants to piss them off if they're doing sea trade. Nobody really wants any fucking shit with them. Now, Egypt's not like a NATO member or anything like that, but it tends to lean towards the West tacitly, even after the whole thing where the Obama administration tried to overthrow their government. Thankfully, they decided not to completely shaft us. Turkey's in NATO and tends to be relatively friendly to the West and to Westerners. Have you seen those videos of those dudes that have the little red hats and they do the weird ice cream tricks? There will come a day when I go and get... I don't eat sweets, but I'll make an exception for that one because it seems hilarious. Very, very skilled individuals, by the way. And Izmir, here's the funny part. Normally, it's like the southwestern side of the country. I mean, southeastern side of the country, sorry. Which tends to be more dicey. You've got, Kurdish uprisings and communist movements and stuff. The Aegean coastal region, like Izmir, is generally considered to be fairly safe. There's generally not a huge problem there. It's a huge tourist destination too, and it's beautiful, by the way. If you look at the coast of Izmir and some of the sights to be seen there, ancient Roman ruins, you get all sorts of cool shit. I imagine the food is amazing. I can't wait to go to New Orleans. Trust me, I need some Haitian and Creole and Cajun shit. But generally, Turkey on that side is safe, like to travel to. It's not considered to be a problem. Ankara, Istanbul, Izmir, Bolu, places like that, they tend towards the safe. To have, therefore, a couple of U.S. service members assaulted like this in an area like that shows maybe there's a little bit more instability there, unfortunately, now. There's been some instability, but generally it's under control. So hopefully the current government is capable of tamping down on that. Because the next time, you might get a group of U.S. Marines. They get assaulted by a crowd. And they just decide to haul off. And then all of a sudden blood is everywhere and everyone's dead. And that's entirely possible. I don't think that they're allowed to carry their service weapons when they're, on shore. But they can certainly carry a knife or something like that. That would be one hell of a goddamn fight. I don't think that the people there that are assaulting them would survive. I think they'd get severe lacerations and bleed out and die. That's about all. Peace out.